Why I like to say hello to Tacoma, and I've been saying it for the last 2 days, because we have represented here all of Tacoma, and not just a segment of Tacoma. And that makes me just so happy and so proud. I don't think that's me. I'm going to go on. It makes me so happy and so proud that we're able to do something here that brings everybody, all communities in, to be in the same space, a safe space, where we can talk about things that generally don't get talked about. And we are so proud to be able to bring, for the first time, to the Pacific Northwest, the Kinsey African American Art and History Collection. It wouldn't be 2021 if we didn't have a program which had some snafus. Snafus, right? But anyway, I want to thank you all for coming today. And if you've seen the show, you know how powerful it is. If you haven't seen the show, my word, you're going to have an emotional experience. I had the emotional experience of my life actually on Thursday morning. I had tears in my eyes, and sometimes I still do. I first saw this exhibition in the middle of September of 2019 in Dallas. One of our board members has given me Mr. Kinsey's phone number, and I called him. And he invited me very kindly to the opening of an exhibition at the Dallas African American Museum. And it was a transformative experience. The scales began to fall from my eyes. I mean, I'd studied African American, European art. I'd done a lot of American studies, but I didn't know anybody in this exhibition. This had all been cut out. None of these people were talked about in the courses that I, as a somewhat educated person, had done. Why didn't I know about these people? You know, I know Jacob Lawrence, Zora Neale Hurston, because of my time in Florida, Henry Osawa Tanner, because of the great paintings I had in another museum by him. But I didn't know anything about Phyllis Wheatley, who you're going to hear about today. Grafton Tyler Brown, who painted some of the first painted images of the Pacific Northwest. Amazingly important artist. Or Augusta Savage. All of those people, and many, many more, have been cut out of the record. And that's what this exhibition is about. That's what makes me so proud that Tacoma Art Museum is bringing to all of our community an exhibition that begins to put the historical record straight, artistically, historically, of my God, in terms of the basis, the economic foundation of this country. And I'm not just saying it's this country's at fault. I mean, my home country has had many, many black marks to put against it also. I come from England, but we're here in America. So those deliberate omissions from the cultural record is just putting that right is what is so important about this exhibition. And I'm not going to go on any further. I'm just delighted. You can hear the tremolo in my voice. You can hear my heart going. This is just such an important thing for me and for the Tacoma Art Museum to present to Greater Tacoma and the Pacific Northwest. Like I say, the first time in the Pacific Northwest, this exhibition. So I'm going to move on, because I could talk forever. But I want to just know that, don't you? You know that, don't you? I want to just move on and just say a couple of thank yous. Our presenting sponsor, Propel Insurance, made this really possible. Our leadership sponsors, JP Morgan Chase & Co., the Bamford Foundation, Columbia Bank, Tacoma Urban League, and the City of Tacoma. And in addition, I want to thank all of the individual sponsors who actually stood up, sponsored individual works of art to make this exhibition happen. Thank you, everyone. You know, when you're going to introduce incredible people, you need incredible people to introduce them. So I'm about to step down. But to do that introduction, I want to introduce a great friend of mine who was co-chair of our Kinsey Collection Community Committee, and who in the past has been on our 30 Americans Committee. Mr. Wayne Williams. Many of you will know Wayne. He is just a wonderful gentleman, and he knows so much. You know what? Wayne Williams knows the Kinseys because Mr. Kinsey brought Wayne Williams to the Pacific Northwest in the 70s, right? Yeah. But Wayne is a member of Tacoma Pierce County Black Collective. And I say member, I think he's more than just a member. I think he's like, along with Lyle, I think he's like the co-chair. No, he says no. President of Tacoma Public Library Board of Trustees, board member of the Greater Tacoma Community Foundation, and chair of the Elizabeth Wesley Youth Merit Incentive Award Program, and many, many other things, and a great friend of Tacoma Art Museum, and a huge worker in the Tacoma community. So thank you, Wayne. I'll pass over to you.
Good afternoon. It's my honor to welcome you to one of what I think would be one of the most compelling presentations that you experienced in life. Now, I know Bernard's fired up today, so get ready for a ride. and Bernard did bring me, we were at Xerox together. I have to tell one little story. I was promoted to Seattle as area sales manager. In the conversation, Bernard says, you're going to absolutely love Pacific Northwest, Seattle. You're successful, we'll bring you back to LA. You're not successful, you're going to love the Northwest. But I made it back to LA. I love it though. I've been privileged to know Bernard and Shirley for about 46, 47 years. I have great love for both of them and Khalil. And I can attest that their internationally known collection doesn't exist just because they love art, but rather it's the result of a lifelong commitment to seeking out and celebrating African American contributions to this nation and to the world. The Myth of Absence is a powerful and engaging interactive presentation. Bernard, Shirley, and Khalil will provide an in-depth perspective of items on display, but more importantly, how they reflect where art intersects history. The presentation inspires, educates, and entertains, and fills in the gaps to the American story by highlighting the many and often untold examples of African American achievement and contribution. We hope that you are not only enlightened today, and this is important to me, I think to all of us, that you're not only enlightened today, but also motivated to share new knowledge in a way that sustains a positive and appreciative impact long after the exhibit is gone in your respective communities. So having said that, welcome once again, and we're going to start with a video that captures the essence of the Kinsey family and the exhibit, and after that, members of the family will come up with their comments. Will come up and make their comments. So thank you.
You've seen this already. Sing along with me.
It is called The Personal Treasures of Bernard and Shirley Kinsey. The collection features rare pieces which until now have been tucked away in a private gallery.
We are at the home of Bernard and Shirley Kinsey to take a look at the Kinsey Collection. The Kinsey Collection pays homage to African Americans who helped build and transform the United States.
Once scattered by history and now gathered in a single collection, a cultural inheritance for African Americans.
Tonight, a conversation about the intersection between art and history with Bernard and Shirley Kinsey.
Documenting the African American experience from the early 17th century through the tumultuous civil rights era, the Kinseys have had a 30-year love affair with collecting.
The Kinsey Collection started 30 plus years ago.
Didn't start out for this to be a collection, but we're delighted that it has happened that way, because the more we began to understand and know about our history, the more we felt that other people needed to be touched and know about it too.
Some of the items were passed down through their family. Some were purchased at auctions, and others were acquired during the Kinseys' numerous trips around the world.
We've been in 90 countries and 6 continents, and we basically collected something from all of these 90 countries. But our real focus has always been, how do we speak to the African American experience?
Their collection isn't only African American, but mostly paintings, sculpture, and documents from the distant past and the not so distant.
Man, I love this letter. A letter from Malcolm X to Alex Hayden, 1963.
Over the years, they realized they were collecting a story.
When we came to the Americas from Africa, how did we evolve? And that evolution is both painful and wonderful. And putting that together is what we try to do.
It's been quite a journey for a couple who met as college kids at predominantly black Florida A&M in 1963, when students were fighting for civil rights.
I met her after she got out of jail.
So
sit-ins and
they finished each other's sentences. So you knew she was something special from the beginning.
Oh yeah.
Both now are retired from Xerox, where Bernard rose to become vice president. He's now a much-in-demand business consultant.
Fast forward to the present, the couple holding a news conference in Washington, D.C. as their collection, the shared treasures of Bernard and Shirley Kinsey, now greets visitors to the busiest museum in all the world, the Smithsonian.
I have opened numerous exhibitions throughout my career, but few have excited, few have challenged, few have moved me as much as the Kinsey Collection.
As the first African American ever to publish a book of poetry.
This is my first time seeing the collection since I did the recording for it. So it's kind of fantastic. It's a wonderful way to show that we too are part of the fabric of the making of this nation, which sometimes I think gets forgotten in the telling of the American stories.
Efforts like this are efforts to fill that gap. This is really important for young people. Knowing who you are is the best grounding you can get.
I am immeasurably proud of my parents. Every day I learn something from them continually. I get to work with them, and I never, if you'd asked me 10 years ago if I'd be working with my parents, there wouldn't have been a chance. But it's been remarkable to see their partnership
The Kinseys have reached a stage in their lives where they can afford to indulge their passions, one even greater than collecting, sharing. Together, they have raised more than $22 million for scholarships at historically black colleges.
You know that black people have been a part of everything that's happened in the Americas almost from the beginning. And having that connection with the past and with history is what really creates this sense of strength inside of us, and to know that we have this identity and this lineage that is so powerful.
We think what we have is the beginning of this story about this wonderful, wonderful race called African Americans that came out of a terrible situation.
I want our people to be empowered by all the accomplishments, all the things that we did in building this country. And as Bernard said, sometimes let everybody know we got dibs here. Okay? We didn't always come here as slaves. We came here as free people, initially. Hello, Tacoma.
Hello.
I didn't know you were going to use that when you started up here, but I already had it in my notes. So we're so grateful to see all of you here this afternoon. I see a lot of old faces that I've seen over the weekend, and some new faces, and I'm glad that you're all here. And old not meaning by age, but just that I know you a little bit more, because I've seen you a little bit more. Friday and Saturday night were really blessings for us. I mean, being able to stand here and talk to you and get to know you and have you get to know us has just really been exciting for us. And we're just glad to be able to do it. We're truly honored, humbly honored, I should say, to be here at the Tacoma Art Museum in Hayden. We thank you and all your staff and your committee members for making us feel right at home. I always say thanks to all the hands, the hearts, and heads that went into making this happen. We're truly touched by the reception that we received over the past few days. We met so many wonderful people. Among the people that we met, we also have a lot of family members and old friends from across the country visiting with us here in Tacoma. They all wanted to experience the Tacoma experience. I told them it would be great. And I think you all are finding that out, right?
Yes.
Just raise your hand. Those of you here from out of the country, Van Ewan's in the crowd, New York's in the crowd, Los Angeles is in the crowd, Charleston, Italy's in the crowd, Boston, Texas, Florida, all over the place. You're all here. Now, let's get to talk about what we're going to see today. The Kinsey Collection strives to acknowledge, celebrate, and show appreciation for the triumph, accomplishments, and contributions of the people whose shoulders we stand on. We basically have propelled and pushed us forward. And we basically built this country, contributing greatly to the greatness of America. After all, now, this is not just Black history. This is American history, correct? Right. Now, a little bit about us and how we got started. Bernard and I strive to live our lives by two simple principles. They're not so simple, but they're something we all do. To whom much is given, much is required. And we know that we've been blessed immeasurably and feel it incumbent upon us that we share what we do and what we have with as many people as possible. And you're all a part of that. And we also strive to live a life with no regrets. That means you kind of have to stay in the present. You don't want to go through life and say, oh, I wish I'd done that. Or, I'm sorry I didn't do that. Why did I not do that? We want to try and stay in the present and see if we can get past having some of those regrets. That's a hard one to do. When we began our journey through life about 54 years ago, actually 54 years and 6 months, I think. We arrived in Los Angeles, Florida with $26, 2 degrees from Florida A&M University, a job, and no car. I felt like we moved to a foreign country. I'd never been on a plane before, I'd never seen mountains, and I didn't see streets as wide as they were in Los Angeles. We decided we were going to do 2 things together. We were going to excel at our careers, and we were gonna save my salary and live on his salary. We had a dream, and family had prepared us, and we were ready to get rolling. So we decided we were gonna travel early. We bought a house, received our advanced degrees from Pepperdine University, invested, had our son Khalil. A little later, a friend of ours in the audience was supposed to help with that, but he was out of town. That's another story. A little later, we began collecting art and historical items along the way, and here we are now. This journey has taken us on a ride we never could have imagined. From a personal collection to learn more about ourselves and where we come from, to now sharing it with millions across America, and now here in Tacoma with you. Who knew that we would embark on a lifelong journey of collecting some 40 years ago that would lead us to preserving our history for our future? That's what the Kinsey Collection strives to do. We had no idea or intention that one day our collection would become an exhibit that would travel for 15 years, the past 15 years, to 33 cities in one foreign country. Who knew? We certainly didn't start out that way. We were collecting before Khalil was born, and it was because of him that we became more focused and deliberate with what we acquired. With traveling, we found that we were always interested in indigenous cultures wherever we went. And we began to realize, though, that we didn't know very much about our very own culture. And that was just something that kicked in along the way. In 1977, remember Roots? It was shown all across America. Well, Khalil was born about 2 weeks after that. We were learning more about us and needing to know even more because it was something we had to spark in him, and that sparked something in us. We began to meet and collect local African-American artists and held art shows at our home to introduce them to our friends. Evelyn, remember those art shows? And so to help them begin their collections. Khalil came home, though, when he was in 3rd grade and said he had his family history report to do. And he did a very good report. We called back to Florida and we got the names of the grandparents and great-grandparents and the youngest and the oldest and all that stuff. And he probably did his report. But he came home later saying the kids could go back to the Mayflower. One kid in his class could actually trace his ancestry to the Mayflower and to other foreign countries. Tracing back to Florida was just not enough. And we decided at that point he had questions we couldn't answer, and our quest began to discover who we are and who our African-American ancestors were. Though we have not traced our personal history as thoroughly as we would like, we collect what I call our collective ancestry. All of those people we began to learn about became a part of us. These book reports were now focused on anything about African Americans who made great contributions to building America. Research was limited then, books were hard to find. However, items began to find us organically, as Khalil would say, and our collective became more integrated, art and history. All the wonderful untold stories of our people. We chose not to dwell so much on the horrors of slavery, though it's there, but on that which touches our spirits and fills in a lot of blanks for us. Those stories that tell of the great people that came before us, whose DNA runs through our veins, because at our core, we all want to know who we are and where we come from. In 2005, the LA Times did an article on our home, which became more about the art and historical art documents we had, titled, "If These Walls Could Talk," and the walls did talk. Museums came calling after that. First in Los Angeles. Then CBS Sunday Morning did an article on us, and it was shown the weekend of Martin Luther King's birthday, so other museums began calling. The collection is now since exhibited in 33 cities with over 15 million visitors. You'll hear more about that as we go on. But there have been many firsts along the way. 7 months at the National American History Museum, a first. Then 5-year residence at Epcot, Walt Disney World, a first. Then 3 months at the University of Hong Kong in Chinese and English, definitely a first. And now, a first in the Pacific West Coast, Northwest. As I mentioned, we see ourselves as stewards and caretakers of this collection. So this information belongs to all of you. I always say we can't really own this. This is history. We've been able to acquire these items to be shared with, but we don't actually own them. A little something I like to say about the collection is that it has legs to get up close and personal to. It has arms to reach out, protect, and embrace you, or sometimes hold you at arm's length. It has hands to pat you on the back. It has a heart that touches and tugs at your heart, looking for understanding. It has eyes looking into yours. I'm going to cry too. It has eyes looking into yours, sometimes glaringly, and sometimes sharing a tear with you. It has ears, listening for answers, challenging you to hear what's being said. It has a voice that demands to be heard, asking hard questions and answering hard questions. One of the hard questions would be, why don't I know this? Keep asking yourself that one. It has a conscience, a passion, a tenacity, and a desire to educate, motivate, and inspire. So with love and appreciation to Khalil for being our inspiration in starting this, and Khalil for your motivation in continuing it, it's truly a family affair. Now I'm going to ask that you listen with your ears, your eyes, and your heart as my two love and life partners of 54 and 44 years share stories of our ancestors with you. They're going to give them a voice, a name, and a personality because we honor our ancestors who were lost, stolen, left behind, but not forgotten. The journey continues with you. Now, Khalil Kinsey, partner, general manager, and curator of the Kinsey Collection, you're up next.
Yeah, I'm gonna take Pop's line. Doesn't she look good? I'm trying my best to keep this brief. Peace. How are you all doing? Doing great. And I'm completely energized. I've been burning the candle at both ends, generally because I play both sides of, I'm behind the scenes and I'm also right here, kind of, on stage. But it's definitely, this is going to go down as one of the most energizing openings that we've had. But it goes along with one of the best exhibitions that we've done as well, so it's perfect. First off, I want to say thank you, Uncle Wayne. It has been a great, great pleasure. It has been just a wonderful, wonderful time here, only enhanced and enriched by getting to spend time with you. I call it Master Jedi because his wisdom, and worldview, and energy and spirit, I connect greatly and learn so much, that I hope to emulate and embody, throughout my lifetime. So thank you. And to know that you had the Porsche on standby to take moms to the hospital, to have me is pretty spectacular. It's another full circle moment. But I want to say hello and before she leaves, goodbye to my love, Lisa Stein. She's got to take off, busy woman. But she's got to take off to the airport very soon. Raise your hand, baby. Let everybody see you. For well over a decade, we've been hand in hand and partners in this life, and that will be forever. And she's just been such a great help in sharing our story with the world. She's a PR executive by profession, and she's just been able to get people to take notice. And we're always appreciative of that. To my crew, appreciate y'all being here. This has been another great joy because I haven't had the opportunity to share what we do and the exhibition with many of my friends because we're always, somewhere kind of distant. So the fact that we're on the West Coast is just, is really special for that reason. So thank you so much for spending your weekend with us. And to all of you who have become friends and family as well, thank you so much for sharing your weekend with us. Thank you so much for your embrace and welcoming to Tacoma. We are absolutely thrilled to be here. And last but certainly not least, Mr. David Sepp, and to the entire staff here at TAN. It's wonderful to I can't say enough great things about this experience. Now that we are here and open, I'm just looking forward to being back, looking forward to continuing to create great impact together, and to welcome more and more of Tacoma and Pacific Northwest and surrounding areas through these doors to experience the Kinsey Collection and the other beautiful exhibitions that are on display here as well. These two. These two just continue to be my North Star, my my compass, my example for how to do it and how to do it right. I can't describe how special it is to do this with you all, and how important it is and how important this has been for our family, for our bond. David, you spoke about transformation, right? And you're not alone in that. That's been my experience. As a black man, a black boy growing up, even with an incredible foundation, I did an interview the other day, and I said it's an enormous feat for black folks to see themselves other than what is projected onto them. To see their true identity and to harness their true power, you know, because of not only what is missing from the history books and from the narrative, but also because of all the misinformation and negative information that is shared about black life, which is false. And in this exhibition, you'll see just how false it is, and you'll see just how trumped up this stuff has been, how made up so much of this narrative has been. It's been based on greed, it's based on corruption, and so much more. I was transformed by this collection. I grew up with it, but I didn't have those same examples outside my door of who I was as a black boy, black man. I had a lot of other examples. And so I thought that's what being a black man was, right? And if it wasn't for the foundation, though, that was laid, I always kind of just stopped. You know what I mean? I ain't go too far in my decisions, or poor decisions, rather, because I had that foundation. But it wasn't until I started working with this material, absorbing it for myself through my own process and lens and filter, that I felt this true power, this true possibility, this true love that I feel today, that only continues to grow, and that I wish for everyone. You know, I said the other day, you can't want for yourself, you can't not want for someone else what you want for yourself. That's not equality. I have to want the same things for you as I want for me, or I'll be denied that in myself, in one way or another. Karma is real. And so, you all being here with us, you get it. You have a desire to learn, to use, to teach. That is the concept that we hope to convey, you know, and hope that people employ. You learn something, you use it in your own life, and you teach others. And that's what our experience has been. That's what our experience continues to be. The story continues to be updated and illuminated in beautiful ways. There are pieces in the collection, in this exhibition, that I had to update the labels on because I learned a new history that was relevant to the Pacific Northwest that I had never known. Hiram Rhodes Revels, the first black senator in the 1870s from Mississippi, President